I started right back where I left off as well from the last video. It takes a lot of explanation for Hag and Doctor with their traps specifically, because a lot of people don't understand the actual effect of it, which is why I wanted to take some time on them. So for this one, we're going to be doing at least the shape in Huntress. Hopefully I can fold in Cannibal for this one, but I don't know if I can. Let's talk about Mike. Mike is my favorite killer to play. And a lot of people say Mike is OP. Mike ain't OP unless you have the right add-ons. So let's talk about them. The start Evil Within. So basically the way it works is you have to stalk people. While you stalk, you move slower, and you have a decreased terror radius or no terror radius at all. And when you stalk survivors, it builds up your Evil Within. So the way it works is in Evil Within 1, you are undetectable. You cannot be seen from auras. You can't have your aura revealed. It is the ultimate stealth. You are actually undetectable by any survivor or key with a blood amber or any perk, anything. They can't find you unless you show yourself to them. You also have a very, very small terror radius. You're talking about a 4-meter terror radius. The thing is a tiny fucking thing. You have decreased movement speed, decreased lunge range. There's a reason for that. So then you have Evil Within 2. So this has a slightly decreased terror radius as well, 16 meters as opposed to the standard 32. And it has an slightly increased movement speed. This brings you back to normal killer movement speed and normal lunge range. Evil Within 3, it doesn't specify here, but let's talk about it. So when it's triggered, all survivors suffer from the exposed effect for 60 seconds, and then it goes back to Evil Within 2 unless you have add-ons. You also get a standard 32-meter terror radius. You get to vault 10% faster, so you have Bamboozle built in already. And you have a larger lunge range. Your lunge range is actually 3rd in the game. I forget if it's 3rd or 4th now with Demogorgon. Demogorgon fucks things up, but let's just go with 3rd. Behind Freddy, who's of course number 1, and Hag, who's of course number 2. Then it's the fight for 3rd is now between the Demogorgon and... No, they nerfed that. That was a PTB glitch. Okay, this is Mike. I didn't think that through for a minute. So let's talk about add-ons. And we're going to be doing this kind of odd. So the first thing that you have is the Boyfriend Memo. This is a brown one that increases the lunge range of Evil Within 1. You would say, well, that's good because it brings it back to default. The reason why this add-on exists is because of a certain add-on that is a purple one that is very, very evil, that is called the Scratched Mirror. Survivors' auras are revealed within 32-meter range while you are stalking, but Evil Within cannot progress past tier 1. So you are slow. You are so slow. For each time you hit a survivor, you get bonus blood points in brutality and deviousness. That's not really why you play it. That's just an added benefit. I can do a video on Plague later today. Just not right this second. It is solid, and that's the only reason, by the way, that Boyfriend's Memo exists, is because of the Scratch Mirror, because your design is going to be Scratch Mirror, Boyfriend's Memo. One of my favorite add-ons is the Tacky Earrings, because it increases movement speed while you are stalking. So this means that you move faster while you're stalking. There's not a lot I need to explain. You're already slow in tier 1, so if you're trying to catch up to survivors a little bit, you kind of need this, because as you're stalking, you're basically like standing still and moving forward very slowly. Yeah, it's not good. So this add-on is solid. I don't like these add-ons. I'm not a fan of them, but I understand why people run them. So you have like the blonde hair, the brown one. This increases the duration of Evil Within, but it increases the amount you need to get to tier 3. You know, you have the hairbrush. Again, this moderately increases the duration of Evil Within, but it also slightly increases the amount that you need. You have Where's the other one? Here we go. Hair bow, again, considerably increases duration, slightly increases the amount, and then you have the lock of hair, which tremendously increases the duration of evil within and moderately increases the amount of evil. What these add-ons do is they extend how long you can stay in tier 3. The downside to me is that a lot of people don't understand that Mike is actually a resource management killer. So when you're stalking survivors, you're draining them of evil within. When you have drained a survivor, you can't stalk them anymore. You cannot level up your evil within off that survivor. And a lot of people make the mistake, I'm going to stalk one person, and then I'm going to go kill somebody else. No, you can't do that. If you do that, you are essentially wasting all of the evil within. Because if they DC, if they die on hook, whatever the case may be, if you don't get that stalk meter from them, it's gone. If they DC, the game will refund some of their stalk meter into other people. But not the full amount. So you can shoot yourself in the foot. And the reason why I don't like the increase evil within duration is because unless you can guarantee, I'm going to take out 3 people. And I do mean you need 3 people, if not 4. But if you can't guarantee you're going to take out 3 people in 1 round of evil within, if I have an extra, minute, there's no point in it. Because if you take out 2 people and the other 2 people are just instantly DC, because I get that with a lot of games on Mike. I knocked down 2 people with evil within, we're just at 60 seconds, and the other 2 people DC, and it's like, well, the game's fucking over. I just hook these 2 people and the game's over. The add-ons are complete waste. So I don't like those add-ons. I really can't stand them. So I won't purchase them in Blood Webs, but you do get a lot of people that do like them. The OP add-on situation, it's a few. It's a few, and some of them are also based around the skill. You have the Reflective Fragment. This is a solid one, so it's pretty weak, but what it does is strong. So Evil Within 2 reveals the auras of survivors who have been stalked for at least 1 second, and that aura stays visible for a duration of 2 seconds. To be honest, this add-on actually works better on people that you have drained completely of your stalk, so that you can see them. You just stalk them for a second so that you can see their aura. Then you get out of stalk where you can move faster, especially because remember, you're in Evil Within 2, and you can chase them down and down them because you know where they're going without having to stalk them. The Memorial Flower, this is a solid one. There's 2 of my favorites. 2 of my favorite categories are increase the rate that evil is gained and increase movement speed while stalking. So Memorial Flower is a must-have as well if you can get that. Because the faster you can get evil out of people, the faster you can get out of tier 1. And a lot of people don't realize that high-level play, your red rank, and even purple rank games sometimes, Mike is bad if he is stuck in tier 1. Unless he's running the Scratch Mirror. The Scratch Mirror is the only reason you want to stay in tier 1. If you're not running Scratch Mirror and you can't get out of tier 1, you are fucked. Good survivors that can break line of sight and can get away and can mess with you, he can't get out. If he can't get out of tier 3, yes, he's stealthy and he's jump scare Myers, but the downside is as soon as you see him, you run. You run, you break line of sight. He can't do anything. Another important thing that people don't understand with Scratch Mirror Myers and Vanity Mirror Myers when I talk about that is that while you can see survivors' auras within 32 meters, you are not stalking them. You're not draining evil within. You're not powering yourself up. That's not how that works. So, hold the brakes on the, oh my god, Mike is stalking me through a wall bullshit. That's not how that works. So, jewelry, moderately increasing movement speed while stalking. That's pretty powerful as well. We have the hairbrush I already talked about. Glass fragment, so this is an upgrade to the reflective fragment, but this is for Evil Within 1. The duration is a little bit longer because of the fact that you move slower in Evil Within 1. Remember, you're slow as fuck, so you need the extra duration so that maybe you can catch up to them. Dead Rabbit, this is evil. So this moderately reduces the terror radius of evil within 2 and increases evil within 3. Remember that you already have a shorter terror radius in evil within 2. And a lot of people like to put this with monitor and abuse on, because if you run this and monitor and abuse, you have the same terror radius at evil within 2 as you do in evil within 1. And the trade-off is you are basically a distressing doctor in evil within 3. You have this massive terror radius. So I see a lot of people that like to run, you know, they run the Dead Rabbit add-on with something else like movement speed while stalking or increased rate of stalking, whatever. And then they put on something like unnerving presence or overwhelming presence, some type of a terror radius add-on, so that when they get to tier 3, everyone knows they're coming. It is actually kind of fun to play around the Dead Rabbit. It does give you some good jump scares. Your green ones are all around better, but it's important to note that you can get good value out of the yellow ones as well, so it's not a requirement that you go for your greens. And again, nothing that I've mentioned below the purples is OP, because a lot of people like to talk about. If I don't have something to increase movement speed while stalking, or to increase the rate of stalk, you're kind of fucked, realistically, because you're still slow stalking survivors, you move slower stalking survivors. It's like they have so much time to get away from you. You have to put them in a situation where they can't run away, or they can't break line of sight easily. You have the aura reveals for some limited tracking. It's not great. The hairbrush add-ons are shit. The Dead Rabbit is good for jump scares, but that's more if you're trying to grab people off gens and stuff than it is if you're actually trying to, like, stalk them. So this is where things get more balanced. So Mirror Shard, evil within 2, reveals survivors' auras for 5 seconds. This is solid. This is a good tracking thing. We have Judas Journal. Judas Journal is a variation of a J. Myers, basically. So J. Myers Memorial's probably his strongest add-on. Realistically, it's his strongest add-on. Because what I mean by that is, it's his most useful. Yes, you could say, Judas Tombstone OP! But the situation of you using it isn't going to happen without a J. Myers Memorial. The J. Myers Memorial pretty much makes all of Mike add-ons possible. So this increases the rate at which you gain evil within by a lot. You can stalk one survivor and get tier 1 in like 2 seconds. And you can get tier 2 to tier 3 in about 5 seconds. And that's not normal. Basically, a J. Myers Memorial takes Mike stalking into Ghostface stalking. Because Ghostface does stalk faster than Mike does. People forget that. Ghostface only needs 5 seconds to expose you. Whereas Mike needs 10. J. Myers Memorial cuts that in half. And what you have is the Judas Journal. Judas Journal is good for eliminating one person at the beginning. So this is becoming obsessed with one survivor, and you considerably increase the evil gain stalking your obsession. I mean, it's quick. Like, you don't even need a full second, and you're tier 1 off them. Now, I'm actually not a fan of the Judas Journal. There is no reason with Mike's perks to get rid of the obsession at the beginning of the game. If you're playing around Dying Light, play with your food, save the best for last. You're not trying to kill the obsession at the beginning of the game, so this doesn't help. What it does help with is if you randomly walk into the survivor, oh, that's a lot of evil. The Jewelry Box, which considerably increases movement speed while stalking, this basically removes the movement speed penalty while stalking. You're a little bit slower, but you're not slow. You're just slow. Hairbell we already talked about. So now we're going to get into the broken stuff, and no, I'm not talking about the lock of hair. So he has the 5 add-ons that are OP. But the problem with this is they're all purples and ebonies, and they all require help. So let's start. You have the Vanity's Mirror and the Scratch Mirror. They're basically variations of each other. So Scratch Mirror, which we already talked about, but I'm going to cover it again. Evil Within 1 reveals survivors' auras while you're stalking within 32 meters. So anyone within 32 meters of you is highlighted. But you cannot level up past Evil Within 1. You do get bonus blood points for hitting them because of the fact that you are so slow. I've played games around Scratch Mirror Myers. The downside is Myers, normally the threat of Myers is run. You just need to run away. Scratch Mirror Myers, when you know they have it, you don't really run from them. They can't do anything. He can't do anything to you until he gets close to you. When he gets close to you, you get scared. But that's about it. So you gotta put on stuff like Spirit Fury and Enduring to tank pallets, because you can't take a pallet. If you're running a Scratch Mirror Myers, you can't take a pallet. Or it's another 30 seconds before you're gonna catch that survivor. Remember how slow you are. Like, you can't get out of tier 1. You're already slow, you already have a decreased lunge. You only have 2 add-ons you can realistically put with it. One is the increased lunge range, which we already talked about, which makes it so that you actually can hit them at a decent range. And the other one is the glass fragment, so that you can stalk them without stalking them, technically. Where you just stalk all the survivors for a few seconds, and then it stays visible. But this, remember, you have to have line of sight for that. So it doesn't work if you're like, you use the Scratch Mirror to track them down, you get line of sight, you actually stalk them, and then you get out of stalk and move faster. The downside when you run Scratch Mirror, you can't run things like J. Myers. You can't run Jewelry Box, Judas Journal, Jewelry, Dead Rabbit. There's no point to any of those add-ons. There's only 2 add-ons you can put on with that. If you want to be the full meme build, you can run a Judas Tombstone to make you run slow. But that's if you're going for Burger King Myers. The variant of this is the Vanities Mirror. This makes you a bit more lethal. So, Evil Within 2. Now, you can't get out of Evil Within 2. Survivors' auras are revealed while stalking within a 16-meter range, so it's half the range. But remember, that is your terror radius, so you can see people just before they start to run away. It slightly reduces movement speed. So, what does this mean? It means you're tier 1. It slightly reduces your movement speed. You're basically tier 1. I don't run the Vanity Mirror. I hate the Vanity Mirror. Like, there's no real point to this. You lose the movement speed penalty, or the movement speed gain from going to tier 2. It's not as bad as being in tier 1, but it's not good. You move like a nurse. People forget. He, in tier 1, or if you run the Vanity's Mirror with the movement speed penalty, he's basically a bamboozle nurse. He's an M1 nurse. That's what he is. You do get the blood point multiplier, so people do that, and the aura reveal. You do have some things you can play around this now. There are some things you can do, things like Jewelry Box, you can do J. Myers, you know, but the J. Myers only helps you get to tier 1, so it's not that great. I wouldn't recommend that. You can do stuff for movement speed while stalking, you know. The 2 big ones that everyone talks about are your Tombstones and your Fragrant Tuft of Hair. And there's 3 in total, but 2 of them are Tombstones. So we're going to start with the piece of Tombstone. So, this enables you to Mori any survivor when you're in tier 3. You cannot stalk while you're in tier 3, so you can't track survivors while you're in tier 3. But killing them will basically put you, as soon as you kill a survivor, it puts you back in tier 2. It also increases the amount of evil within. If you are trying to get free Moris, Tombstone is nice. The downside to it is, remember, you're only going to get 3. The amount of evil you need to get is very high. It's not as high as the other 2 Ebonies. That's the downside to both the Ebonies, is that you have to get just so much evil within. But you're only going to be able to have enough evil within to get 3. You can't get 4. It's actually designed that way. You cannot get 4 people with the Tombstone piece. Can't be done. The thing that, you know, you need stuff like J. Myers, you need Jewelry Box, Judas Journal, you need stuff like that so that you can, you know, move a little bit faster, you can get more stalk at them, whatever you're trying to go for. This is solid. Moriing a survivor as soon as you hit tier 3 and removing 25% of the game is huge. It is a very significant thing. The problem a lot of people don't realize as well, you can't down them and then pick them up and Mori them. You actually have to grab them. which is a separate action. You have to be right next to the survivor as well. So if you accidentally press the button too hard and you lunge instead, you've lost the tombstone piece, basically. The variant of this is the Judas Tombstone. This moderately decreases your movement speed at all tiers. Tier 1 Myers is so slow, it's not even funny. Tier 2 Myers is a Tier 1 Myers, and a Tier 3 Myers is a Tier 2 Myers that's slow. You are very slow with this, and that is the trade-off. You're not catching survivors very often with the Judas Tombstone. It also tremendously increases the evil required. Realistically, it takes 2 full survivors worth of evil within to get it up, which means you're only going to have Judas Tombstone up once or twice per game. And it enables you to kill any amount of survivors that you want. If you can grab all 4 survivors, you can Mori all 4 survivors. People think this works well with the Fragrant Tuft of Hair. If you can get it to work, that's fine. Because it makes it, you know, it makes it so that you have infinite Mori, basically, for the entire game. But you have to stalk every single survivor for all of their evil within to run this combo. You are going to lose. I've tried it before. I've run it before. I haven't gotten it to work because it just takes too long to get the amount of evil required to actually pull this off. Even I, the Myers main, will admit this OP add-on combination is not OP because it's not practical. Running one of them is good. Running both of them is bad. Don't do it. Judas Tombstone, though, is pretty OP. Again, Moriing people. The evil within does not go away, so if another survivor sees that they're getting Moried, and they're like, oh, I'm going to run over and help them, and oh, he's getting Moried. If they try and stick around, they're fucked. That's another Mori right there. The last one is the Fragrant Tuft of Hair. I would say this is probably his strongest add-on in terms of being OP. Because while it does tremendously increase the amount of evil within required to get up to Tier 3, it's unlimited for the rest of the game. Yeah. Everyone's one-shot, and you have faster vault, faster movement speed, longer lunge. It's going to take you probably 2 gens, maybe 3 gens, to get up there. But when you have it, you're fucked. That's Mike's add-ons, though. The Tombstones are OP. The Fragrant Tuft of Hair is OP. I'd say Scratch Mirror really isn't that OP, but people think it is. The downside, though, is he is very bland and vanilla without him. So now we're going to talk about Huntress. Huntress's power is very straightforward. She starts the match with 5 hatchets. She reloads them in lockers. And she throws them in a straight line. What do her add-ons do? So for brown add-ons, these are pretty nice. The best add-on for your money is going to be the Barris Toxin, because it applies exhausted to targets you hit with hatchets for 30 seconds. This prevents dead hards, balanced landings, lifts, etc. This basically removes the survivor ability to continue looping you after the fact. And as a brown add-on, to reduce that is very significant. The fact that the exhaustion timer, remember, doesn't go away if they're running means that this is basically a guarantee on exhaustion. The Course Stone is a hemorrhage effect. I avoid this. It's not that strong. It just causes them to bleed a little bit more. You have the Bandage Heft, which decreases cooldown between hatchets. Basically, it means you throw your hatchets faster. There's less of a delay. And you have the Amida Toxin, which is very strong. This blinds them for 30 seconds. Now, this will go down and chase, unlike the exhaustion meter, but that blindness effect is very strong. For the brown add-ons, you definitely can benefit from these 3. I wouldn't touch the hemorrhage. To start the yellow ones, you have the Hindered for 15 seconds in the Yi Seed Brew. This is lethal. 15 seconds of being slow. This puts the Huntress at the same speed as the survivors. Remember, Huntress is a 110 killer. This means that she's actually able to catch up to survivors and M1 them, so she's not relying as much on the hatchet for the second hit. That being said, it's not that great. It doesn't work if they're trying to hit you with hatchets. It is strong, but it is only 15 seconds. Those add-ons are pretty good. Those are low-value add-ons where you can get a lot of value out of them for a low price, so they're actually moderately, they're moderately good. Some of these are quite weird and I don't recommend. So this one, the shiny pin, this increases your movement speed while you've got your hatchet ready. This is good so that you're not, you know, as far behind. If they're looping you around a same structure and you're trying to get that one shot off to make them run away, this helps so that you're not falling as far behind. Oak half, this decreases cooldown between hatchets, basically so that they're ready to go. You know, it's like, throw a hatchet, throw a hatchet, throw a hatchet. But remember, you have to charge your hatchets a little bit if you want, like, speed and you don't want the dip at the end. So the oak half kind of hurts you if you're unless you're trying, like, rapid fire. This decreases hatch-up wind-up time. What that means is that the hatch-up actually goes into the throwing animation faster. So, unlike reduce the cooldown, which is hatchet, 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 if you're just quick firing, what this is it decreases how long you have to charge it, basically. I don't recommend that one, though. I do like the oak haft a little bit. I don't like that one, though. Leather loop, must have. Start with more hatchets. Carry more hatchets. Hatchets good. Fine stone, don't recommend it. Hemorrhage for 60 seconds. It gives you a little bit extra tracking off of the bleed out effect. It doesn't slow them. Deerskin gloves. So this is survivors suffer from the mangled, or yeah, I don't know why I said that. Oh, I was looking at my screen. Sorry. So you reload faster at lockers. This does not stack with Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden is actually a little bit better in my opinion because it applies an insta-down with the exposed effect if they do go into a locker against you. A little bit of extra tracking with that than there is with this. But this is a solid add-on if you don't have Iron Maiden. Realistically, this works better for people who are going for like a hatchet only where they don't M1. This is a much superior version of the yellow one. That's why I don't really recommend the yellow one. I recommend this. 30 seconds of the hindered effect is a significant. This is one of the longest hindered effects in the game for survivors. And that is a huge. 30 seconds of being slower is fucking huge. This guarantees you a second hit unless you're going up against good survivors or they know how to loop you. The venomous concoction is the exhausted effect for 90 seconds. This is this is a tremendous one because this prevents survivors from their normal cooldown. Remember that your normal cooldown on exhaustions is 40 to 60 seconds and the brown one is 30 seconds. This is 90. This is one of the longest exhaustion timers in the game. So again, this is guaranteeing they're not getting out of combat basically by juking you. These two add-ons are very powerful. I definitely recommend them if you can run one or the other. Rusty Head is the target suffer from the mangled effect for 120 seconds. This makes it so that they're slower to heal and they bleed out a little bit more. This is solid. I would say Sloppy Butcher is better, but Sloppy Butcher doesn't apply to the hatchet. So if you want to run a full healing regression build with like Chlorophobia, the Rusty Head, Sloppy Butcher, stuff like that, this is your go-to for that, but I don't recommend that as much as the other two. We have the Pugent Fiel. This is weak. Avoid this like the plague. Locker auras are shown within 36 meters. No, you don't need that. There is one benefit to this. This is occasionally glitched, where it will show you if a survivor is hiding in the locker. So this shows the locker aura to you. And it shows you if there's hatchets inside. If it doesn't show you that there's hatchets inside, that means there's a survivor in there. And that does reveal on occasion. It is a glitch, though. It's not a primary thing. So don't think of it as like, oh, this is just like a mainstay. Flower Babushka, this is much better. This decreases the hatchet wind-up time, so it decreases how long you have to charge the hatchet. Very solid add-on. Not for rapid fire, but it lets you confirm faster hatchets. What? I pressed the button by accident. My bad. Now we get to the important ones here. Now, you have the infantry belt. Very strong. Extra hatchets good. And the glowing concoction. Survivors' auras are shown for 5 seconds when you hit them with the hatchet. All of this is good. The begrimed head. So this is the improvement over the rusted head. And it's much better because it also decreases repair speed for survivors injured by a hatchet. Now, it won't stack with the rusted head. And it won't stack with, like, you know, Sloppy Butcher and stuff like that. But they're strong. The last one is the Iridescent Head. This is one in the chamber Huntress, baby. Your hatchet insta-downs the survivor. But you get one. Now, yes, you can run an infantry belt and you get 3, or a leather loop and you get 2. But if you miss, oh, you're fucked. You gotta reload a lot. So, like, Iron Maiden or the deerskin gloves are the way to go. Period. If you're running Iridescent Head, especially without an infantry belt, you're reloading a lot. All of our add-ons are fairly strong. There's a few I would avoid. There's a couple of green ones, there's a couple of yellow ones, there's only one brown one I would avoid. But all of our add-ons are pretty standard. So we're going to stop it here with these 2. These 4 killers took a lot more to explain. Leatherface and Pig are going to be easier, so I should be able to put these 4 together in one video for part 4. But I am going to have to take more time for these 2. So realistically, I'm probably going to have about 3 more videos, maybe 4. But, hope you all enjoyed.